It's tedious in the beginning to continue to do this because you don't want to do it again. Okay, that's enough. But if you keep at it, and I've done this enough times to know, if you keep working with the body and you keep settling it down, every time you settle it down, it's a victory. As the secondary sex hormones start to diminish after a certain point, it's called the climacteric. It's a point where, and it happens to men too, by the way, estrogen levels, progesterone levels, testosterone levels, all the secondary sex hormones begin to drop at a certain point. And according to what's normal, according to what's natural, according to what's predictable in the species of human beings, according to thousands and thousands and thousands of markers that have been studied for a very long time, the diminishing of certain hormones limits the ability for an egg to be fertilized and ultimately stay healthy in the uterus. So usually at the age of 52, that's when most of the secondary sex hormones start to diminish. So theoretically, according to what's normal, the likelihood of being pregnant at 52 goes down significantly. That doesn't mean that people who are 52 years old or older don't have children in the normal world, but it would have to take a very strong shift in your physiology. Now, I always try to put myself in a person's position and think, what would I do? How would I handle this? Well, 1 foot in the real world, 1 foot in the quantum world. And doing the progressive workshop and reading the books and doing the meditations, of course, is a good start. Coming to a week-long event and being in a collective group of people with a certain consciousness creates way more possibility. We have seen all kinds of miracles take place. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't do it on your own, but the training and the consistent practice that takes place in a week-long event, according to our research, and people that have never been to a week-long event and they dive deep into the process. And we're going to be posting this video on our website soon. Dr. Patel, who's our senior researcher on our team, notices a host of biological changes of regeneration that are scaled in the direction of rejuvenation that takes place in the body. And that's because the intensity of what the person is doing and the rigor and repetition and the information and the next opportunity, the next experience, and like being in a monastery, living as if it's already happened, walking as it, talking as it, becoming it. All of those variables in a retreat, retreating from everything that's familiar in your life, learning information, reviewing the information, making it stick, going into a meditation, coming up against yourself, getting frustrated, not getting beyond your analytical mind, getting emotional, getting impatient. All of these things are all the things that stand in the way between us and our dreams. And I know that because I practice it every day. So the week-long intensive retreat is a real opportunity to not only retreat from your life, but giving the person numerous opportunities to overcome themselves and numerous opportunities to connect to the field. And so from a theoretical standpoint, okay, the possibility of it is possible. But for living our daily lives and, we're reacting to all the different variables in our environment that cause us to feel stress and move into survival, and it's bills and kids and jobs and timing and schedules and pandemics and finances, all the things that happen. A lot of times people just can't find their way. So my first recommendation would be if you could come to a week-long event and immerse yourself into it, it would be a great opportunity for a possibility to happen to a greater degree. Now, here's what I would do. If that isn't a possibility for you, then I would consider doing the Blessing of the Energy Centers 2 or Blessing of the Energy Centers 3 and, get that nest of yours fertile again by tuning into a frequency that could begin to change the chemistry of that hormonal system. And I would do it really rigorously and really in a committed way for 3 to 6 months. Now, I wouldn't go past that point because if a person has a serious health condition, I always say, try it out for 3 months or 6 months or 4 months or whatever, and get your values tested again. the markers. And if all your markers are good, then be sexually active during that period and see if by being sexually active during that period while you're making those changes, if it begins to produce an outcome. If at the end of the time that you give yourself, it doesn't occur, then you have to make a different choice. You got to do something different. Or otherwise, you're going to miss the window of having a child, period. And then there's the whole thing about the soul. You know, the soul that's waiting to come in is waiting for the right genes and the right conditions as well. So if you truly want a child and it's something that you want, and you're past that point and you haven't produced a response, you make that choice and you focus on the right soul coming in that's going to be the perfect child for you and your husband, and also a great teacher for you as well. So it's a difficult answer to give people, but give yourself a little bit more time. Pick a window of what you feel comfortable with, and then go at it completely. And if you can do the walking meditations as well and walk as it and become that person, and understanding if you do that properly, you should see changes in your biology. Walking meditations are another way. Blessing of the energy centers, I would stick with, especially when you got to those first 2 energy centers or first 3 energy centers of your body. I would tune into the frequency specifically that would change the chemistry of each one of those energy centers, and try that out. But do it for a period of time. Give yourself that period of time. Be sincere, go all in. And if there's no change, then you make a different choice. Because many people who are practicing meditation and they come to this point where they feel nauseous, or they feel incredible pain, they feel dizzy, or their respiratory rate starts to get out of control, they think in that moment that they're doing their meditation wrong. And what I want you to know is that you're actually doing it right. That's because most people are either living in the familiar past, you know, they have had events in their life that have branded them emotionally, and constant review of those events conditions the body emotionally into the past. And then in an attempt to not have that unknown circumstance happen again, they live in a very predictable future where they're always thinking the same thoughts, making the same choices, doing the same things, creating the same experiences to reaffirm a feeling of safety, reaffirm a feeling of they know it's going to happen, and that's a predictable future. And so the familiar past is the known, the predictable future is the known. There's only one place where the unknown exists, and really that is the present moment. And that's rich in possibilities. So when the body, which has been conditioned to be the mind, the servant is now the master. And so by you doing something differently, making a different choice, and as your body starts slipping into the present moment, it'll do anything it can to unseat us. It'll say, you're this or you're that, or it's taking too long, or you're not doing it right, or it'll get nauseous, it'll get sick, it'll get dizzy. This is a sign that the body really is rebelling to relax into the present moment because it doesn't trust the unknown, because it's been conditioned to what's familiar and what's known. So then many people at our events come up to this point and they think they're losing their mind. They think they're going crazy. They think, oh my God, I'm doing something wrong. And they think about all the times that they've done their meditations and they did stick it out. And that is the hardest part of the war, is this final battle where the body's really making an effort to stick in its familiar territory. And it's doing everything it can to stay there because it's the unconscious mind. It's programmable. So it's been programmed into the known, and you're taking it into the unknown. And wow, this is the moment of reckoning. Because people think, oh, I'm going to die, you know, or I'm so nauseous, I don't think I can go any further. With the proper training, if you could settle your body down, because most people don't think they have control over this. This is like the body just rebelling. And sometimes people get really angry, they get really frustrated, their heart starts to race, the sympathetic nervous system switching on, and the body's saying, I don't like this. I can't predict the next moment. I'm more comfortable, and this doesn't mean it's you, but many people are so happy being unhappy, so committed to their suffering that they don't even know that they are. And so it doesn't have to be suffering, it doesn't have to be unhappiness, it could be whatever for the person. It could be fear, it could be whatever. And you're taking the body out of its known place and say the unknown doesn't have to be fearful. The unknown doesn't have to make you nauseous. And most people quit at this point, but going a little further past that point and settling the body back into the present moment. And we've really demystified the process in Becoming Supernatural. The explanation of being able to relax into the present moment. If you can just get into that point and stay there, and the body realizes nothing bad happened to it in the unknown, it relaxes a little bit more in the present moment, and your boundaries of the unknown begin to open up a little bit more, and you can relax with your eyes open a little bit more into the present moment. And the body literally takes that fear or that unhappiness or that sadness, and it's stored energy in the body. It begins to relax in the present moment, and the body literally liberates energy. Energy in terms of information. The emotion is being released from the body, and the body can relax into the present moment. And it's tedious in the beginning to continue to do this because you don't want to do it again. Okay, that's enough. But if you keep at it, and I've done this enough times to know, if you keep working with the body and you keep settling it down, every time you settle it down, it's a victory. You're teaching it to relax into the unknown, into the present moment. Doing this enough times, sooner or later, the body finally surrenders. It surrenders to a new mind, which is you. And when that occurs, the body moves out of the familiar past. It's being brought into the present moment. It moves out of the known predictable future. You're executing a type of will that's greater than those automatic programs. And this is a battle, and it takes a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of awareness, and it takes a lot of energy. And most people would just rather get on their cell phone or their Facebook or their Instagram or whatever, or call up their friend, than to really face off with this emotion, because they really don't think there's anything on the other side. And yet, the repetition of this, and we've seen this at enough week-long retreats, we've actually studied what happens to the brain and to the heart. It's that constant effort of overcoming. It's that constant effort of being unwilling to settle for anything else but the present moment. Yes, it's a battle in the beginning, but with practice, as you lower the volume to those sensations and you keep the body relaxed in the unknown becomes less of a scary place. The unknown becomes a place that we start to understand is the only place that we can create from. So, yes, the body rebels. Yes, people get nauseous, people get dizzy, people get severe headaches, people get low back pain, people have knee pain. And there was a guy that came to the last Cancun event. We had his wife dragged him there. He had chronic pain in his body, 9 out of 10 for the last several years. He listened to the progressive with his wife, but he just showed up. He didn't really know what he was doing. He just said, okay, I'm going to come in. First day, he said it was so excruciating, he thought he couldn't go any further. And he just said, well, I'm just going to keep going. And literally the next day he woke up, he was at a 1 out of 10 the next day. And then the following day, he had no pain at all. He couldn't believe it. Well, because the body was finally liberated from the chains of the familiar past and the predictable future, and that relaxing into the present moment is our birthright as human beings. That's when we're present, and that's when we're aware, and that's when we're not preoccupied with what happened yesterday or what's going to happen in the next moment. There's a lot of power in the present moment, because of where you place your attention is where you place your energy. And all of your attention is in the present moment, and you are present, boy, you have a lot of energy, and that's the energy we use to create. And it's that act of building your own field by working with your body that begins to create the energy to heal, the energy to create with the energy for the mystical moment. So there's nothing that you're doing in the meditation that is wrong. It's just that your body is rebelling because it doesn't trust the unknown. It's your job, just like an animal, working with it and training it and just telling it's going to be okay. There's something on the other side of that, and that's your freedom.